The story of Klaus Grabowski started in Germany, where he was identified by authorities as a repeat offender. He was then asserted for strangling a toddler and given a probationary term. One may have thought perhaps Grabowski would learn a lesson from this near miss. However, his evil inclinations persisted. A few years later, he was arrested once more for offenses against children. Although Grabowski was initially treated leniently in court, this time around, the authorities did not show as much mercy. In this last case that stated the series of unfortunate events, Grabowski was about to do his most horrific deed, setting the stage for an unforgettable courtroom drama. Born on June 3rd in 1950 in West Germany, Marin was the key character in this horrifying tale. Her mother abandoned her when she was a teenager. Father was abusive, making for a challenging upbringing. At 16, she gave birth to her first child, which she had to place for adoption. She became pregnant again at the age of 18, but had to give up the child once again. November 14, 1972, Marin gave birth to her third and last child, a stunning baby girl named Anna. Marin was taking care of Anna by herself. She had to work as a waitress in order to make ends meet. But something was still off in their life. Marin was away for Anna most of the time as she worked long hours at the pub. Numerous people who knew Anna noticed that she often took care of herself, including sleeping at the bar where her mother worked. The bizarre series of events started on May 5, 1980, when Marin and Anna argued before Anna left for school. The distraught and heartbroken 7-year-old decided not to attend school that day. That's where Klaus comes in. As Anna was leaving, Klaus, who lived in their apartment complex, invited her to play with his cats in his apartment. After Anna arrived at the Grabowski residence, he assaulted her for several hours. He then mercilessly ended her young life by strangling her with his fiance's stockings. When Grabowski's fiancée discovered the horrible truth, she called the police right away. Following their discovery of Anna's lifeless body at the canal's edge, the authorities apprehended Grabowski immediately. During the trial, which started on March 3, 1981, Grabowski attempted to blame the young girl he had brutally stolen from society. He claimed that Anna tried to seduce him. In his twisted account, he portrayed himself as the victim. Marin was infuriated by this appalling display of victimization, having already endured unbearable pain. She decided it was time to take matters into her own hands. On March 6, 1981, at what appeared to be a routine court appearance, Marin made her move. Under her clothes was a .22 caliber Beretta pistol. When she spotted Grabowski in the courtroom, she didn't hesitate to act, firing 7 shots at him. 6 of those shots were successful. The result was Grabowski's death. Marin's determined demeanor, devoid of emotion, was captured on camera during the shooting. She showed no remorse, not even when others intervened to place her under arrest. Marin was convicted of manslaughter and given a 6-year jail sentence, of which she served only 3. In 1996, she died of pancreatic cancer and was buried next to her beloved daughter, Anna. The story of Michael Martin has the greatest twist ever in the history of crime. It possesses every element of a Hollywood blockbuster. Michael Marin appeared to have everything from the start. He held degrees from Yale Law School and Brigham Young University. Following graduation, he started a career on Wall Street, working for some of the largest companies there, including Salomon Brothers, Merrill Lynch, and Lehman Brothers. Michael was making a lot of money working for such powerful people in the industry, and he sure knew how to spend it. He owned a number of opulent residences in addition to collecting works of art by artists such as Pablo Picasso. He traveled the world and even climbed Mount Everest at some point in the early 2000s. With a wife and 4 kids, he seemed to be living the ideal dream life. The ship started sinking when Michael fell behind on his mortgage payment for his $2.55 million property in Phoenix. He made various attempts to salvage his house. He became more and more desperate as none of this helped. It was this desperation that precipitated his incredibly strange act. Imagine Michael Marin's home rapidly collapsing due to fire and him stepping out of the fire wearing scuba gear amid the mayhem. As crazy as it may sound, that did in fact happen. Upon arrival at the fire scene, law enforcement discovered that the former Wall Street broker was dressed more appropriately for a day at sea than for fleeing from a burning building. But this crazy getup actually had a purpose. Remember that I mentioned that Marin was having trouble making his mortgage payments? Turns out that wasn't his only financial problem. Later on, it was revealed that Marin owed $17,250 on the Phoenix house and had a $2.3 million balloon payment due. In addition, he owed $34,000 in taxes and $2,500 monthly mortgage payment on another property. There was more than $900,000 in his bank account just a year before the fire, but this was down to a mere $150 by the time the fire happened. He was going under financially and thought that burning down the Phoenix house could be a way out. The idea was straightforward enough on paper: burn down the house, use a scuba suit to escape, collect the insurance money, and you're safe. He was mistaken, however, and there were a few holes in his strategy. First of all, wasn't it incredibly convenient that he had a scuba suit all fixed up and ready to go once the fire broke out? Again, who keeps their bedroom fully equipped with a scuba suit? Following an investigation, it was discovered that the fire had been started in 4 separate locations throughout the house, and that phone books had been used to ensure that it spread quickly. Being heavily indebted is one thing, but being accused of assurance fraud and arson is quite another. If you didn't know, these are 2 serious crimes with severe consequences. When Marin's court case began on May 21, 2012, he was facing a sentence of 7 to 21 years in jail if he was proven guilty. Initially, he was broke and his house was almost being foreclosed. Now, he was broke and facing years in prison. It was a complete disaster. And with the walls closing up on him, he had to move quickly. On June 28, 2012, the 53-year-old was found guilty of his counts. In an official court footage, he can be seen visibly distraught by decision, burying his face in his hands. His face flushes red as though he swallowed something. He collapses shortly after taking a sip from a sports bottle. He convulses while frightened court officials rush to his aid, but there was no saving him. He was taken to the hospital where he was shortly declared dead. After taking such drastic measures to save his house, Michael Marin's life came to a tragic end. This incident takes a different turn, focusing on the 2017 sentencing hearing of Sloboden Proljack, who committed suicide in the court. But first, let's see how Proljack got himself put on trial, as well as the reasons behind his extreme actions. Born in Yugoslavia in 1945, Sloboden Proljack was a Bosnian Croatian. His life appeared to be rather typical as he pursued additional education, was hired as a professor, and operated an electric company. But Proljack's life drastically changed during the 1991 Croatian War of Independence. He enlisted in the Croatian military, advanced to the rank of general, and played a crucial role in the war. Nevertheless, it is said that under his command, war crimes including assaults on people and places of worship were committed. Additionally, he oversaw the notorious exercise camp where Bosniak men were subjected to abuse and cruelty. And when the war ended in 1995, Proljack made a smooth transition back to regular life. Seeking to turn his life around, he founded a production company, a tobacco company, and wrote 25 novels. But at the beginning of 2000, Proljack and 5 other people were charged with war crimes by the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia. After turning himself into the police, he was charged with serious offenses, such as breaking the Geneva Convention, breaking wartime regulations and laws, and committing crimes against humanity. These claims stem from his high status during the war. The tribunal claimed that Proljack gave the order for several atrocities that were attributed to his forces or was aware of them yet took no action. In April 2006, after a trial that lasted for about 7 years, Proljack was found guilty and given a 7-year jail term. In 2013, he appealed the decision, saying he was innocent. In November of 2017, a court in The Hague upheld some parts of his sentence and dismissed others. His 20-year prison term stayed intact. He had already spent over 13 years behind bars, so he had 7 more to go before being released. Proljack was passionately opposed to the ruling. Following the statement by the judge, he made a stunning remark in the courtroom. "I just drank poison," he said after drinking the liquid from a small brown bottle he brought in with him. Proljack was immediately taken to the hospital. Unfortunately, he died of heart failure. We had already talked about Marin, the woman who killed her child's killer in court. Well, Perry Manley was another distraught parent, but in a different way. Manley didn't want to pay child support because he and his wife were no longer together. His ex-wife badgered him to pay over his hard-earned money to her after he was reporting him to the system. He was enraged and fixated on this for more than 15 years. Ultimately, his obsession led to his death. In a file with not fewer than 5 lawsuits and with the joint efforts of others supporting the rights of non-custodial parents, Manley had written why he wasn't supposed to be supporting his 3 children. He claimed that it was an instance of involuntary servitude in which a man is made to work in order to provide for a child that he is not responsible for parenting. With all this talk and behavior, he continued to grow angrier by the day. And on that fateful day, Manley entered the courtroom wearing camouflage clothing, a rucksack strap across his chest, and he attempted to sidestep the metal detectors. But one of the officers saw the bomb in his hand and alerted other officials. After calling the police, security guards attempted to talk him into turning himself in for more than 20 minutes. He set down papers he intended to present to the judge, then cupped the grenade to his body with both hands. Then he moved stealthily with the grenade, causing 2 rounds to be fired at him right away. When the officers rushed to him and saw holes on the bottom of his body, they realized that the bomb was inactive and Manley had no weapons on him. Surely a sad way to die.